I have to say with this film, there are so many layers to it. I'm ready to start peeling some away and see what we can come up with. How about you? All right, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to do this film analysis. We've got Katie Presto with us today, producer screenwriter. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So you texted me and you're like, "Hey, I just watched this crazy movie. We need to cover this." And I was like, "What is it?" You're like, "Infinity Pool." So I immediately looked it up, and there's only one showing at the theater, like super late at night. So I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, this is going to be probably like indie niche." So I was like, "Let me get on this." Plus, I always like an excuse to eat M&Ms at the theater. So I'm going to hit you with Infinity Pool with the log line. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. James and M. Foster are enjoying an all-inclusive beach vacation in the fictional island of La Tolqa when a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. I think that pretty much nails it. What do you think?
I think so.
I didn't know what I was getting into here. I didn't look at any trailers at all.
Oh, really?
Nothing.
Okay. See, I looked at the trailer and I was intrigued by the whole cloning aspect, but I didn't know anything else about it.
I didn't know anything about that. All I saw was Cronenberg, and I thought,
Yeah.
"Oh wow, David Cronenberg's got two
No.
movies out this year." And then I said, "It's Brandon Cronenberg. It's his
Yeah.
son.
Yeah.
His son wrote and directed." I was like, "Okay, now we need to see where we're at." And I was like, "Okay, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree here."
Yep.
Um, so I have to say, with this film, there are so many layers to it. I'm ready to start peeling some away and see what we can come up with. How about you?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, hedonism. So this film definitely explores that. But at first, it's just a guy on vacation who's kind of lost in his life and is going through the routine with his marriage. They
Yeah.
don't really love each other. It's almost just like a marriage of convenience.
Yeah. I definitely got that. And the interesting thing about when they first sit down and she was like, "Oh, let's try and make the breakfast buffet or whatever." It was a little bit funny because it totally reminded me of, and this sounds bad, but our honeymoon when we went to Hawaii, because it like the whole resort was very like contrived. It was all very, this like regimented and things
Hmm.
like that. Like this is what you signed up for, and it's like a little
Yeah.
community. It feels really artificial.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a really great aspect of this because that notion comes in at the end of the script. So remind me and we'll hit that
Yeah.
because that's a really good observation. So they're going through the motions. But one thing I have to notice is in the very beginning when their lights are off and they're having the weird conversation, right? It's kind of setting up like, okay, this is strange.
Yeah.
Um, as soon as they leave the room and they start walking towards the buffet, if you notice the camera spins, right?
Yeah.
So that is a filmmaking trick, which is subconsciously telling you, the viewer, that this person's world is just about to go upside down.
Oh,
Typically, you see that trick later on in a film, like end of act one. You'll see that trick. They get hit in the head, or someone dies, or they take a drug, or whatever. And then you'll see the camera spin, and it's telling us, hey, things are really about to go south. This film hits you with the camera spin about a minute and a half into the film. And I'm like, oh my God, it's going south already. So it is very true though, because there he meets Mia Goth's character, and she's obviously flirting with him and really into him, to the point where he agrees to go to the Chinese restaurant that he was making fun of not even 30 seconds earlier.
yeah.
So it already shows the type of influence she has on him. um what we learn at that dinner is fascinating though, because he's, as a character, his wife resents him, right? And she speaks about him almost. Go ahead.
Yeah, she's like almost disrespectful in a way. Like
Yeah.
The way that she talks about him in a joking manner, but really basically telling him he's a failure in front of these
Yeah.
people.
She infantilizes him. So
Yeah,
essentially like he's like a baby like that she resents. And that was
yeah.
the sense I kept getting from his character. And so I was trying to pay attention to that.
Oh, I know where you're going with that.
But but you see it now, right? When you start
Yeah,
thinking about it. So now everything happens. Obviously spoilers here, guys. We're analyzing this film. So he kills the guy, right? And then they end up getting arrested. They end up getting arrested.
mhm.
And this is where we actually learn what the infinity pool actually is, because you're thinking the infinity pool is like an infinity pool that we see as an establishing shot.
Yeah. Oh,
There's
I knew it was not
yeah,
gonna be about that. I was
there's
like,
even some
yeah,
exposition about an infinity pool in her life. It turns out it's this red goop that he stands in that copies him. That's the infinity pool, which I
yeah,
thought was really cool. I did not know this was sci-fi. So when they start talking about this is a third world country and hey, we can make a copy of you, I get kind of excited. Like, ooh, this is a low-key sci-fi. This is
yeah.
cool. Um, so we get to experience his dupe being killed by this child. Everybody's horrified in the audience except him. He gets a smile on his face. Something is ignited inside of him. Obviously, something dark.
You know what my first thought was, which they do address fairly early on, which I think is to kind of make you realize that the film is not about that. But I was like, I bet they switched him.
Yeah, it's very possible, but in my opinion, if they switch him or they don't, I don't think it matters.
Well, that was the question, right?
Yeah,
He even
yeah,
posed that question, does it matter? Like, what does
yeah.
it matter? But maybe it does matter.
Okay.
Maybe, maybe like even with an exact copy of you, exact memories, exact
Yeah,
everything, there's still that something that you can't copy.
right. Well, it is very possible that he is a soulless version
Yeah.
of of the of the character.
Well, that's why I like how you talked about like there is a lot of layers to it because you can see it in a lot of different ways. I don't think that's what the intention was to make
But
that
it's
a
an
thing.
interpretation.
But it is
He
a
could be a
right,
soulless, yeah,
right.
or he is the original character who is lost, and now he has a darkness inside of him lit
Yeah.
up, right? So let's start peeling some layers right now. So he gets into this group of the revelation. There's this group of people that have all gone through the same thing. They're all Western societies, right?
Mhm.
uh, I was going to say they're ugly Americans, but they're not. We have French people in there, we have British people, so we'll just say Western civilized, right,
Yeah.
societies, okay, in this quote third world country.
Yeah.
um but what's really interesting is the establishing shot there, Katie, of when he is talking with the group and they're introducing him to the group. Who are the two people that are only in focus that entire time?
I didn't pay attention.
It's him and it's Mia Goth.
Oh,
Everyone else in that shot is either off camera blocked by a wall or has their back to the camera, and they actually frame with their bodies. They frame Mia Goth and Alex Skarsgård's characters because those are the two characters that we're going to focus on. And also, if you really pay attention, you can see how Mia Goth's character is kind of subtly manipulating him. She gets in closer to him. She puts her arm on him. She strokes his back. So she's already, quote, grooming him,
yeah.
right? With this introduction. So it's fascinating stuff. So at first, they want to bring him into this little group they have, right? Because they
Mhm.
want to steal something. And initially I go, okay, that's another layer. That's a gang initiation right there,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
This is a gang initiation. You want in, you got to get in. We got to steal this thing. You're going to do this or not. So he agrees to do it, right? And boy, does it ever go south. But here's the really cool thing. They all steal these masks, right?
Yeah.
And I think they call them icky masks or something like
I
that.
think so, yeah.
So but they all look different and crazy, and they all have human skin on them. But What do you think those masks represent?
Maybe like the ugly side of them. I don't know.
Definitely the ugly side of them, definitely demons of them, but how many characters are there?
Just as many as there are them.
There's 7 characters.
Oh, do you mean is this going?
Yeah, there's 7 characters.
Yeah.
They each steal a mask that represents their inner demon, their inner personality. So the one character has a mask that is obviously greed. And if you look at the mask, she's got
I would have never picked
coins for
up on
teeth.
that.
Yeah,
Oh my
she's
gosh.
got coins for teeth. If you look at Mia Goth's mask, all right, it's
Wow.
this kind of beautiful melted face with lipstick and blush on it. It's ugly, but it's trying to be beautiful. So what is that? That's lust, right?
Yeah, seven deadly
His
sins.
his mask, Skarsgård's mask has horns on it. It's very vicious and fierce looking. So it's wrath, and that's what his character is. His character is learning violence, right?
Yeah.
So each of these, one of the characters has 2 faces, which usually is represented as envy. So if you really look at each of these 7 characters, they all represent one of the deadly sins, right? So
I swear,
that's
you're like
another
you're
layer.
blowing my mind right now because you every time I talk to you and I see the same film you do, you pick up on things that I'm not even thinking about.
Hey man, that's why we do this, right? This is fun for me. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so that's another layer now. But if you think about it, of course, you're going to have the 7 deadly sins. You're going to have them represented and then showing the visual of the masks of their inner monsters, right?
Mhm.
All of that is going to show through hedonism. So I think it's well executed. There is so many layers to this thing. It's impressive. It was pulled off so well.
Yes.
Um, so another layer is we have the ugly American, we have the Western disrespect for other cultures, hedonism, we have all of that playing out, using money to solve problems, right? So now we're talking about privilege.
Yeah.
It is just it's so crazy.
That was the big one too. It's just like, how many times can I buy my way out of this? And I really thought for a second, they had me. I was like, the last time when they had the full execution of everyone, I was like, oh, they did it
That's
6
it. Yeah.
times. Like,
And
no,
then
no
pan
more
to the
mercy.
audience and they're all
I
celebrating.
was like, what?
And you're like, damn. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I keep thinking, well, his wife left him, so he's not going to have any money. So he's going to get cocky and break the law again and then end up
Not the case,
having
okay.
to, pay for another dupe and then go in the ATM and his card is ejected. See, that's where my mind is going,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because that's where you think it's going to go, but that's how brilliant Brandon Cronenberg is. It's like, we're not going to go there. We're exploring this man's darkness. He doesn't need to be punished.
Yeah.
Let's just show how far we can push this guy and the ramifications in his life of it, right? So instead of going the way that we think it's going to go, he's
Mhm.
beating the police officer because he couldn't find his passport. But we can all admit, we all knew that he was hiding his passport.
Yeah.
Nobody in the audience was shocked by that.
When
He
he
was
like,
loving the fact that he essentially was cheating death, right?
right.
There's a power, there's a godlike experience he's enjoying every time he sees his dupe killed, whether he's the original or not. Again, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that he collects the trophies of the urines like a serial killer.
I know. I couldn't believe he took all those
You know
things.
what I mean? I mean, that,
Yeah.
again, another layer there of like, that's how demented and broken this person's mind is. So, so we get to the point where he realizes he's beating himself, right? And that crosses a line for him where he's like, I got to get the hell out of here. And this is already skipping past all of the obvious hedonistic behaviors of him taking the drugs and them all having, this whole group moment. Like we can, like that,
Yeah.
there's no like subtext there. We all know what's going on. It's
Right.
pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But the cool thing was with that moment, he was using a lot of film techniques from the 70s, which I thought was pretty fascinating.
In the group thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and I noticed he did something similar in the movie Possessor
Mm.
had a similar effect that he used, and
See,
I
I
thought,
haven't watched Possessor, but after watching this and seeing like he wrote it now, I'm like, okay, I want to go watch
yeah,
that now. So
yeah.
I'm definitely gonna check that one out. I not yet though. I needed like I was almost as messed up after this film.
Yeah, you need
Uh
to, like,
you need like a palate cleanser. Like
yeah.
I was almost as messed up after this film as I was after watching Midsummer. Like I watched Midsummer and you'll remember I was a hot mess.
Yeah.
I got home and I went to my wife and I was like, yeah, that messed me up for a minute. I gotta watch something else. Uh
See, I don't get like that. It just, like, fuels my fire for more depravity.
you're hilarious. All right. So 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 he decides he's got to get the hell out of there, but they won't let him leave. Again, more gang-like behavior, but actually we've crossed from gang into cult.
Mhm.
Right. So we start like this a gang. We've grown into a cult with the drugs and the sex and all of the depravity, but now he can't get out. Right. They won't let him
Yeah.
leave. And as he's walking down the street and they're chasing him with the car, she's just browbeating him, right?
Oh my god.
Breaking him down. But that is what a cult does. So a cult gets its members not because, people are looking to belong. That's one part of the formula. People want to belong. But a cult keeps its members because they break you down from who you are and rebuild you into who they want you to be that they can manipulate. That is exactly what is going on here. She's knocking him down. You're a terrible writer. She's reading his worst reviews, right? She's just browbeating him and then trying to teach him like, I'm going to, turn you into the man you're supposed to be. Well, that's a cult, right?
Yeah.
So eventually, uh, he can't escape, right? And she confronts him with the alternative of killing himself. He has to kill himself,
Yeah.
right? You'll see a lot of moments where he's ripping faces off. He's
Oh,
he's
yeah,
he's
okay,
splitting faces in two, right? He's pulling people in half. So what is
okay.
the director trying to tell us right here?
Just that, he essentially feels like there's 2 parts to him, and
Right. Duality. It's
yeah,
duality, right? And so when he's ripping this off and he's peeling someone's face off to reveal his face behind theirs, right? I mean, this is all him. This is all the inner battle, turmoil that he's dealing with. And he's going to have to physically kill off a part of himself,
yeah.
right? Um, if we were going to do like Star Wars speak, I mean, this would be when
Oh,
Kylo says,
yeah.
you've gotta kill the past if you have to. I
Why does
mean,
everything always come
that's
back to Star Wars?
God, you work with what you know, dude. So so that's what's going on here. So he has to kill a part of him. He has to kill a part of himself. Usually it's existential, but this is a film. He's literally got to kill a part of himself. So he kills the quote dog version of himself, and he finishes his path of change, right? And in that moment where Mia Goth holds him, he is once again infantilized,
Yeah.
right? And literally reborn,
Born. I know, I was like, wow,
right?
that's yeah,
But as a creature of the dark. I mean, this he's not the light part of him, I'd say, is gone. He is now fully in this cult. They invite him to the next season, right? He's
yeah.
gone.
So what do you think about the fact that at the end, he doesn't leave and everybody else is going back to their lives,
Yeah,
act like nothing just happened?
I love it. So, two aspects. One was your observation about when you're on your honeymoon, going through the motions, and everything felt fabricated. So, when that scene, when we're in his perspective and he's just looking around the airport and he sees everyone locked in their doldrums, on their cell phones, not paying to attention, other people listening to music, and overwhelmed by the noise. Whereas when we focus on him, there's a peaceness there, which
Mhm.
is crazy because he's accepted who he is and is reborn into this creature. The fascinating thing that really says this guy's totally different is that his initial drive to go to the resort was for what? Why was he initially at the resort?
To find an idea for his book, his
Right, to
novel.
continue writing. Do you see him writing at the end of that story?
Oh,
No, right, because he is now a man separated from the world,
yeah.
right? So it was not a path of quote growth where he went through all of this, he got all of this experience, and then he's found the muse and now he can write about it. No, he's now different from society. He's now separated from society to the point to where unlike the others, they have chosen to join society. He can't see himself doing that now. He goes back to the resort.
But why do you think that is? Why can't he do what they can do?
Um, that's a really great question. I actually would say for him, he's found his purpose. That is his purpose, is to live that life and to be that being. I mean, how many times within the story do we see him wearing that mask when nobody else is? He's so comfortable in that mask. So I think that he's discovered who he is. That's who he wants to be. He doesn't want to just live it on the season. He wants to be
Yeah.
that person. Yeah. He's
Interesting.
found peace in the violence. It's crazy. Um,
Did remind me a lot of The Purge and Westworld and
yes, yeah, that hedonistic behavior.
yeah,
I was definitely getting some Westworld vibes there.
yeah.
It's just such an ugliness to see people running around with impunity, doing whatever
It
they
is.
want.
And it like it makes you wonder, you know, I mean, I'm sure everybody wonders, given the right set of circumstances, like what are you capable of?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can even take it in more of a macros arc as well of like countries. Countries just run over smaller countries with impunity and don't care. I mean, we're literally
Yeah.
experiencing that right now. So, I mean, there are so many levels to this. I think it's super well done. Um, and I want to mention that this episode is brought to you by Script Summit. So that's an exclusive cover flights contest right now, and you can enter as a screenwriter. You can actually win a cover flight development package or an Inktip Pro membership. Pretty exciting stuff. So you can go on Coverfly, and you've been part of Script Summit.
Yes, I have. Right now we're doing a script study of Jojo Rabbit on the forums.
Yep.
So there's a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of community stuff happening where people are getting together and giving each other advice and kind of doing what we're doing now, breaking down scripts, things like that. It's pretty cool.
absolutely. And that's because Script Summit is brought to you by the Successful Screenwriter. So you can go on the successfulscreenwriter.com and join the forums for free. Hop in there and we can break down Jojo Rabbit, and you can even find us and ask us questions directly on there.
Yeah.
Katie, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for texting me at a weird hour to go see this insane film that messed me up, but I really did enjoy it.
Now I
And
want to watch it again.
yeah, I know. Now you want to watch it again. That's when you know it's good, is when you can go back and watch it and
Yeah.
go like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. And I was
So
like, after I saw it, I was like, I just kept thinking about it more and more. And I was like,
yeah.
"Wow, I really like that."
Yeah, I did too. I leaned over to the lady in front of me and I said, all right, what did you think? She goes, it's good, I guess. So
Yeah,
I think it's a lot for a movie. I think
it's a lot.
she was still processing
Yeah,
it.
you
I'm
need to
sure.
process.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure she got home and she's like, yeah, that was pretty good.